Good morning. To say the times are tough, it's a bit of an understatement, isn't it? I mean, the past few years have been, well, trying to say the least. The COVID-19 pandemic shook our world. Our cultural norms, they're things that, well, will probably remain different now. I mean, when I was a teenager living overseas, my friends and I thought it was so funny to watch people walking around with masks on their faces during the flu season. Now, I have a stash of them in my car. Because now I get it. I understand the reason behind it. It's a matter of respecting others, enough to try and not share whatever virus I might be carrying. And as if the global pandemic wasn't enough, we're finding that terror and tragedy are now commonplace in our society. Mass shootings have become a normal occurrence. Our citizens, our children are dying. And instead of trying to stop these horrific events, nothing is being done, and the atrocities grow even more numerous. All we can seem to do as a nation is argue, hurl insults at one another. We revel in the fear that leads to anger and hatred. It doesn't matter what the disagreement is about. We're completely unable to even discuss things anymore. No one is willing to listen to the other. Is it any wonder we've fallen down the rabbit hole, so to speak? The sad reality is that Christians in America are just as guilty, if not more so, because we should know better. We have failed, time and time again, to live our lives as disciples of Christ Jesus. We refuse to listen even to one another. We cling to our beliefs and wield them like weapons of destruction instead of instruments of love and peace. We hold on to anger and the fears that fill us, and we forget clearly that we are called to love even our enemies. We just can't continue the way we've been going and still call ourselves Christians. It is true. There is so much in this world that can cause us to be anxious or feel afraid, even when we have faith. It's a battle every day in our hearts and our minds to trust in God. I mean, how often do we hear people talk about how they trust in God, but then they say something like, "But God helps those who help themselves." We preach about putting our full trust in God and then demand that people pull themselves up by their bootstraps and move on. It's no wonder that non-believers are so confused. It seems that we have the tendency to not practice what we preach. But the scriptures are very clear. Psalm 128 is a perfect reminder for us today. A reminder that God's support and provision are constant and unfailing. The psalmist writes, "I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will watch over your soul. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." It is time that we lift our eyes to the mountains and truly remember where our help comes from. It doesn't come from ourselves. It doesn't come from our loved ones. And it certainly does not come from politicians or political parties. Our help comes from the Lord. This beautiful psalm calls us to actually put our whole trust in God, to, well, as the saying goes, let go and let God. Let go of confusion and let God strengthen us with confidence. We must let go of uncertainty and let God impart God's wisdom upon us. We need to let go of our complacency and let God use us as His hands and feet in this world. We need to let go of fear and let God fill us with the calm assurance of God's loving care. We need to let go of anger and let God fill us with a sense of peace. We need to let go of hatred and let God fill our hearts with the perfect love of God. For through Christ, the fullness and perfection of God's love has been revealed and is offered to us. Death, disease, hardships, these things exist. But God has promised to be with us through it all, bringing peace of heart, soul, and mind, even amid the greatest of life's tragedies. So let's cast our cares upon the Lord, our God.